a fairly condensed time, so we'll go through it and then there will be time for questions afterwards. Okay, so that's a classic view of Cape Town that we all see, well, from either this angle or usually from Bloberg Strand. And the question that we're all addressing in this series of talks is Cape Town a design city? My field clearly is that of the built environment, so I'm going to be speaking from that perspective. I'm certainly not qualified to speak on behalf of others from other sectors in the design professions. But we all wax lyrical about these pictures that get flighted overseas, and this is what attracts tourists to come to visit Cape Town and so on and so forth. But for those of us who actually are designing for the citizens of this city and for the workability of this city, this question about is Cape Town a design city is a really important one. And my answer to that at the moment is no, it's not, from the perspective of the design professions. I'm just going to go through and illustrate, well, is it becoming a design city? Let's have a look. This is a Google Earth projection of the city taken from the west, looking down across the city bowl, this East Atlantic seaboard, and then of course the Cape Flats all over there. So again, the central part of the city is often the one that has the most publicity, that people know the best, and many people don't even get beyond that very much. But what if we took that away? And what if we took our coastline away, and then we take the central city, which a lot of design effort has got into? Would you actually visit that city? And I think that that's a real tough question that we in the built environment professions have to actually address ourselves to. I think there are certainly some very good examples of buildings. There's some great public places, and particularly in the last few years, I think the city has been making a very concerted effort to upgrade the public environment. And I think that started off with the upgrade of St. George's Mall, a number of squares in town, and then there's been an equal effort that's been put in to the township areas, right out through Gugulethu, Khayelitsha, Delft, and other places. But we're dealing with a vast area, and there's a few little jewels that have been placed out there. And a few good public buildings, I would argue, as well. But does this constitute a design city? I think it doesn't yet. So what is good city design? Good city design is about those elements which are enduring or timeless. They're not just flash-in-the-pan things, kind of fashionable things for a couple of years, etc. They're identifiable and memorable. In other words, you can say, if you've seen them once, you'll say, well, I wonder how I'd get back to that place, or that element, or that building. They're symbolic in whatever way one wants to interpret being symbolic. Inspiring just on an ordinary everyday level, and maybe inspiring in a kind of really high-level way. They uplift their local environment. In other words, they are catalysts, if you like. These good design elements are catalysts for improving and causing improvements in the environment around them. We primarily work for the city and for the provincial government in creating the public environment. So our company is really focused on urban design and on creating good places for people to live. And what we anticipate and what we have experienced, I'm pleased to say, is that our contributions to that city environment have made a good response from the private sector as well. So by the city investing in a certain way actually creates a private sector response. And lastly, that they be part of a recognizable system. It's all very well having individual pieces here and there, but it needs to be part of a system as well. And I think that the integrated rapid transit system, and that is a new public transport system it's actually being implemented as we speak. The first contracts are on site, and it's one of the 2010 legacies that I'm very pleased about. I think there are others that I have questions about, and maybe we can pick up some of that in the conversation afterwards. But I think that the fact that the integrated rapid transit system is coming into being, and it's been largely driven by a 2010 objective for the first phase, is a great thing, and I think it can lead to many good things. Just to give you a perspective, and this is a very boring kind of a map, and it doesn't mean a whole lot except to say that it's a system that's spread through the entire city. So that's just a network of trunk services and feeder services that will go out through the city. And I'm deliberately putting draft version over there because it changes rapidly and is in the process of being further refined as we go through. I'm just going to show you a few of the elements because these are stations. In the first phase, there are going to be about 60 stations placed in various parts of the city, from the airport to the stadium, up the west coast, all the way through to Atlantis. We've gone through a number of different design iterations. This was one which we called our DNA. It's a roof which does fancy things, and that's it placed in Adderley Street, which is where one of the trunk stations will be placed. Not in this phase, but it will be coming very shortly after 2010. And that's just an impression of the 18-meter articulated buses that are being specially designed and manufactured for Cape Town, stopping at the station. These are high quality, swipe card, automatic doors. The bus stops for 10 seconds. People get in, people get out, people get in, the bus moves on again. So it's running on dedicated lanes. You can probably just make out there that there's actually a barrier between the general traffic and the buses. So for the most part, the buses run in dedicated lane, don't get snarled up with other traffic and so on. So it's really a very, very high quality, high speed system. This then is another version, and we're in the process, we're not at the final design yet. We're in the process of developing a design that we think will be appropriate for the next 25 years and appropriate to be spread out through the entire city. And I think there's probably going to be 300 or 400 of these spread out through the city. So it's important that we get it right. And that's a lot of pressure on us as the designers. So that's another version. This is where we currently are at the moment with white poles. We call it our Stone Pines version. So it could have just been a very crisp kind of box like this with everything vertical and horizontal and so forth. But what we did is we just took the stone pines up on the mountains and just, their trunks are at slight different angles and brought that through. And I know some people will say to us that stone pines aren't indigenous and all that. Well, that's a different argument. But something that just sets the station off as something special, but for the most part it's a clean, crisp glass box. We're also doing a design at the station itself. The stadium. You can see the stadium in the background, a night shot. Again with the one with the colored poles against it, then with just plain white poles. And lastly, we've moved off from that, and we're going to have the standard station, but with some kind of a floating roof over the top. So where these elements are, there will in fact be a cover over that. This is just a graphic design to try and that we're exploring at the moment using our computer tools. And I'm on track. And there's some debate going on with the stadium designers and the urban designers in the area as to whether we should do something that's absolutely plucked and kind of nondescript so that the stadium kind of maintains its specialness. Our argument is that that stadium is so damn big it can afford to have a little station next to it that has something special to it. So through what we're really saying is that through the integrated rapid transit system and the public spaces program, and I think Kathy Stone might have spoken about that yesterday, Cape Town is becoming a design city, and I think more importantly for all of its citizens, and not just the special few in the CBD and other special parts of Cape Town, the leafy suburbs and so forth. And so it's really a privilege and very exciting to be involved in that particular project. Thanks.